gonna blow, hit for you. Yes, say nothing.
That night of Carl's memorial, Depz went to perform his tribute track Reality in loving memory of Shams. During the event, an argument occurred that got out of hand, leading to scuffles between Depz and Amani Mitchell over a female. These scuffles continued both inside and outside of the event until Mitchell was asked to leave. He then later returned and was admitted entrance by the bouncers, though he had changed his hat upon arrival. Another incident occurred yet again, resulting in Depz being led outside by friends to resolve the issue. Depz was then escorted to the entrance of the car park and was fatally stabbed in the chest, causing penetration of the heart.
£11. I'd just got out of the bath, was in my pyjamas, and the door knocked. Rudy knocked the door and was stood there upset, and I thought she'd come here because she was upset, and then she said Josh has been stabbed. I screamed and then panicked because I was saying, where's he been stabbed? That's all I was asking her, and she said in the chest, so I just had this horrible feeling. And I just grabbed my slippers, got my keys and went in the car and headed straight to the hospital.
I was in my mate's car, just parked up in the park. It was one of my mate's birthdays, and then D2 got through to my mate because my phone weren't on at the time. D2 got through to my other mate saying Alison needs me and Josh has been stabbed.
I was at my studio and Alison tweeted me like, "Can you help? Call me." I'm sure he's probably arrested or something. I called her and
my nephew told me, my nephew rang me still. He said, yeah, did you hear about Depzman? And I was like, what do you mean, what's happened? Obviously he messaged me back, you know what I mean? And when he told me, I was like, nah. I didn't believe him, you get me?
at my mum's house. My sister was upstairs in the room and I was downstairs in the living room with my mum and little brother. She came down and she told me that it's still on Facebook that Depz been stabbed. But I didn't believe it. Or either I didn't believe it or I didn't want to believe it. You know what I mean? And I didn't hear anything, I didn't get any phone calls or anything to confirm that at that time, so I didn't really believe it like that, you get me?
I just got back from Wolverhampton, got back to my missus at the time.
When I heard that Depz got stabbed, I was in my house. I was at my mum's house, in my niece's room, and I was in bed sleeping. And I remember, I looked at my phone and I got, on my BlackBerry it's just like, oh, Depz got stabbed. And I messaged Abby and I was like, Abby, what happened? And she just replied and was like, oh, he got stabbed.
I got the news that he'd been stabbed. I was literally not long got home from work, and early night I'm in my bed and I get the phone call, like, I'm like, what? And like, I'm linking it back to the date as well, you know what I mean? And I'm like, nah. So I've looked on his Twitter, I've looked on his Facebook, seen him post a video like as a link, Instagram link, so man's in hospital, and you know, I'm like, alright, like I'm praying like at this point, now I'm talking to the universe hard, like, hold my youth, man, because I've already lost the youth, you get me?
Yeah man, it was like 8 something in the morning and I just woke up early, just went on my phone fasting, and I seen C-Dot say something and I was thinking, raw. Then I was just like, whoa, that kind of, I was like, to be honest, I was just glad that I was checking out that day, because that would have just messed up my whole vibe, you get me? My thoughts on it was like, boy, speechless, innit? Speechless.
Later on that night, Depz was brought to the Queen Elizabeth Hospital in Selly Oak, where friends and family gathered to support him. Hours later, around 5 a.m, his mother returned to the waiting room of the hospital to announce that he had died from that stab wound to the chest.
they didn't tell me. I knew when he died, and I told the nurse, and I told the family. I said, he's passed away, and they said, he hasn't, because no one's told us that. I said, he has, he's just passed away. And I told the nurse, and she says, we don't know that. I said, I do know that, he has, I just knew. And then we waited about half an hour, and then there was like the area which was the intensive care, and I waited outside. I was just sitting on the floor, and the consultant, the registrar and the anaesthetist walked out, and I said to them, you don't have to tell me, I know, and I don't really want to talk about it, and that was it really. And then the police said, we'll go and tell his friends. I says, no, it has to come from me. I didn't want the police going out and just saying it in a very matter-of-fact way, or no thought for the rest of, there's a lot of people outside at that point. The last thing I wanted to do was them to be upset more than I was about to upset them. So it was about 45 minutes later that I went out, because I saw Josh before I left the hospital. They allowed me to see him. And then I remember walking through A&E, walking out the main doors to, like a sea of people, and I just went to each single person and told them. And that was really, really hard, because I think I was just in shock, but they were very, emotional, whereas I was quite numb. And they just couldn't believe it. It was just disbelief from the whole car park, hundreds of people. So, really hard.
And then the next morning, woke up to about 8 missed calls off my mum. And then she rang me again, answered the phone. She's like, have you heard? I was like, heard what? She's like, about Josh. I was like, what about him? She's like, he died. And I was on the phone for about half an hour. Couldn't believe it, saying, no, you're lying. He ain't. Of course not. Stop lying. Because it's not a thing we want to believe. It's not something you'd expect to happen.
And had a phone call from my brother saying that Depz had been stabbed. So I'd taken the missus's car, picked up Abby, picked up her Tiny, and went to there. At the time I thought it was just going to be, something silly, like a little preps here or something that he could laugh about and make a song about it or something. But when I got there and heard it was stabbed straight in the heart, it was, a reality check into life.
So I just presumed it was a leg, something, it weren't nothing tragic, do you get me? And then I just was thinking about it, and I dozed back off, because I knew it was nothing to be concerned about like that. And then I woke up and I said, Abby, what happened? And she's like, oh, he died. And I was like, nah. And then as soon as she said that, it was just like, my chest was like, got a different level of bubbleness in it. Do you know what I mean? It was just something there, and I didn't know what it was. I couldn't breathe and stuff. Do you get me? And I was like, how did it happen? And she's like, oh, he got stabbed in his heart. And as soon as she said that, I just thought, nah, man.
First, when I heard he was stabbed, I heard it was just an accident, an incident happened, so I didn't know the seriousness of it. As soon as I found out it was serious, I found my way to the hospital to support his family and friends and everyone.
I'd like to think there'd be justice at the end of the trial.
I wasn't at the plea, you get me, so I don't know, but I'm not, it sounded like it could go anyway, you get me, but you know how the system works, and you know how the system works, and man.
I would like to say, yeah.
The way it's 50, you couldn't be 100% sure. So you never be 100% sure.
I'm sure there's things that they ain't got that they might need.
Depends what you mean by justice. Like, in terms of justice within law, I'd like to hope so, that we'll get justice. But in terms of justice with life, there's no justice. He's not coming back. You get me? We'll never be able to drive. We'll never be able to do all those things he would have wanted to do. We'll never be able to master the UK and, go over to America. We'll never be able to sign those record deals. We'll never ever hear any more songs of Depz. And to me, that's not justice. You get me? He wasn't meant to die that early. Everyone knows that. So, to me, now we'll never get justice.
And that's not a good thing. That don't put any confidence that don't give us any confidence in the law and in the government and whatever. You know what I mean? And in the case, for instance, like how we don't know that he's gonna. We don't know that he's gonna go down and gonna get what he deserves for it. But we'll have to see.
For his mother's sake, there should be, and hopefully there will be.
And if all goes well, then there will be justice.
The trial had taken place and the verdict was reached. On the 27th of March 2014, Omani Mitchell was sentenced to life at Crown Court in Birmingham, with a minimum of 18 years imprisonment before he would be eligible to apply for parole.
It was very hard, very, very hard, harder than I thought emotionally. Seeing my family suffer, that was difficult, and seeing Joshua's friends find it difficult, that was hard for me. And hearing the evidence, seeing the CCTV was heartbreaking. And but I do think that justice has been served, because I've said previously, no amount of years could bring Josh back, no amount of years could make this situation okay. The only thing it does do is put the person that did this away for a long, long time, so I don't have to think about them. You know, it's going to be a long, long time before he's eligible for parole, if he even gets parole, and that will be a case of when it comes round, I'll face it then. So no, it went well.
To be honest, I don't think his genre of music participated in his death like that, because obviously it's grime and it's not called fluff or whatever. You get me? It's not soft. You get me? It's grime and it, so obviously certain contents are gonna sound how they sound, but the thing about the grime scene is there's a lot of people that say what they say and they're not really about it. So I know that he wasn't an idiot. You get me? Like, he's not gonna say something and if somebody comes up to him, he's gonna crumble. You get me? So I don't think he was that participated in it at all, because this stuff happens every day to people that don't do music at all. You get what I'm saying? So I can't say that participated anyway.
His music, I don't think had no part, to be honest. I think people use that too because they have to put a negative thing in the publicity of it, but no, definitely not.
People are getting paid millions for the talent you get. You know what I'm saying?
Like Depz and all the youths, them from the youth centre still that educated me on grime really, like, because at first it sounded like angry youth music, but then Tuesday we used to work in the studio, we'd be there like my man just writing bars and reading off phone when it switched on to that, and actually listening to what they were saying and breaking it down and listening, that's flows different from it's that.
I reckon jealousy, that's what participated in his death. Stupidity, dumb people.
The genre of his music.
Nah, his music was always on a positive note, Key. It weren't no negativity.
Nah, basically, I think the genre is just really what you're into. Everyone has their own genre of music. He excelled in that genre, so he stuck to it, and whatever he did was positive.
Lord of the Mics, man, his clash with K. Like, I knew he was sick before that, but that was like, yo. After that, I was like, full on Depz, man. The way he just repped for Brum and everything, like, it was levels, man.
The whole event was covered by a range of reporters from various news channels. Articles displayed both positive and negative feedback in relation to his death.
I miss you, bro. Love you, bro.
A well-regarded rap artist, Joshua's dreams of musical success were ended by a single stab wound to the heart outside a nightclub in Selly Oak one night in September.
Squeeze up a bit, there are still lots of people trying to get in.
By the time the service started today, it was standing room only at one of Birmingham's largest churches. The mourners spilling out into the street.
Beautiful person, fun-loving person. Enough time, all the time in the world for his family and his friends. Anyone he pulled in close, like, he'll keep them close and he'll support them. Everything about him was loving. Like, I can't actually describe it. He's not gone to me. Like, as you can see, he's not gone anywhere.
Before the service, the man leading it told us large crowds are common at the funerals of the very young.
Young people's funerals always have a large number of people. If it's somebody elderly who dies, that's the natural sequence of events, if you like. That's the normal way things happen. When it's somebody this young, it pulls people up short, and therefore people are much more I think confused, possibly angry, and maybe even full of a bit of despair, and therefore that makes it a much more raw occasion for people.
Joshua died at a fundraiser for his friend Kyle Sheehan, who died the same way a year before to the day.
Another young man has been killed for no other reason than somebody went out.
The news coverage was alright still, like on the TV and that, apart from man getting his name wrong and that, like that was a bit, come on, you need the news, you need to do your research, and but the news coverage was alright, but the coverage that I didn't really appreciate was the Birmingham Mail, like the newspaper coverage when they try and bring up things that ain't got nothing to do with it.
The media always have to do the positive point, but the jow on the negative.
I haven't really followed the news. I like to get my information straight from like where it comes from.
I don't think the media has portrayed people properly, like the people that are involved and stuff like that. They're making it seem like it was bigger than what it was in a way.
Basically, like, we live in this era. What that incident happened, they're bringing up stuff in the old times about
his dad, and they're trying to compare it with that, which I think that's out of order.
What is it? I feel like they're trying to make out like he deserved it in a kind of way.
There was no need to go that deep into stuff. You need to talk about the present, you don't talk about the past. The past is the past for a reason. Do you know what I mean? So I thought them bringing up the past just to show some darkness on the actual topic was just disrespectful, I thought.
That's not right. Nobody deserves to go like that. Nobody deserves nothing like that. So for them to be making out like, oh yeah, it was due to happen, or like he's karma for something that he ain't done, then it's bullshit to me. So
You get me? Like old things that ain't got nothing to do with it after he's gone. You get me? That's a bit disrespectful still, you know what I'm saying? And you know who you are, you get me?
He definitely did love his dad. He had at times distant relationship, close relationship, but the bond was there and the bond was strong. They just didn't see each other as much as either would have liked, really. So, you know, there was distance between them, but they had the love, so that kept them, the bond close.
Though the good part is it's recognition, and it is showing people that there needs to be a change. If it weren't heard anywhere, then maybe you would say more was bad. And the way you know it was big is there was an Asian guy that got stabbed the same week or the week before, innit? And you look at the difference in the coverage of how the media portrayed and how it all went on. And
Press were very supportive of us as a family and of Josh, so I was very pleased with that. I don't think there was any unfair news coverage at all from both parties. So no, I think it was fair all around. They have to just report what they see, and obviously in a court of law it can be quite one-sided for the prosecution or the defence, and they just have to report on what they see. So it was fair. They reported it accurately.
you know, you got to take the good things from it and the bad things from it, and the good thing is because of the love that he had, and because of the people around him, that he got so big in it. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's 5 months later and you still hear about it. So there's good and there's bad sides.
The feedback since he died has been huge. I've had messages from all over England saying how various songs have influenced people, so the words and the fact that they've seen him grow up on YouTube and then release the album. I don't think he would have realised just how many people watched him and followed him and listened to him, because there's thousands of people. We knew Birmingham was big, but not the whole of the UK. Yeah, I did. As far as I saw it go, how big it's gone nationally is a surprise. Different artists that have given feedback, that's a surprise to me. I just saw the Birmingham scene take notice of him, so I just had confidence that he had the talent that could have taken him. Alright, I think because it was so short, I think the hardest part was not knowing how long it would be, because he was convicted for something he hadn't done, it was overturned. So 6 weeks it was long enough for him to realise he didn't want that life, but short enough so that he could come out the other end without really being affected. So looking back, it was a good thing that happened to him, and I think he saw it as a lesson and took it that way. Obviously my family, friends, husband, they've all been around me, but it's been very hard to let them in to help me, really. They don't know how to help me, which is quite normal in a situation like this, because it's me and Josh were so close and no one else had that bond. But I've got people around me all the time that do their best to help me as and when. So there are people here. Everything from seeing his body, arranging the funeral. So obviously with a funeral, you're normally dealing with from 50 people to a couple of hundred. I was dealing with the unknown, having to cater for up to however many thousand. That was really hard, and just the practical side of things is one thing, and the emotional side, don't think I've dealt with that yet. I just continue to try and be strong, keep going, focus all my energy and thoughts into doing what I can, arranging things and positive things. So practically I've faced everything. Emotionally I haven't started that yet. I've lost everything I cared about. The reason that I was me was to be Josh's mum. So I'm now, haven't even begun to, but what I have to face is starting my life all again as somebody that hasn't got Josh, which I'm not ready to think about that just yet. So it's affected everything, affected my relationships, my personality, you know, from outgoing, confident, I now just like to stay at home really at the moment. It's just the beginning for me, so I don't know yet. Maybe in a couple of years I can answer that. There have been a lot of issues between friends, between different people musically and personally, but I think again, when you look at a murder case, that's a normal thing. Relationships break down, people don't know what to do with their emotions, and it ends up turning negative. So I think it's more the emotions are so high, so the flip side of that is negativity. But I just wish that everybody would try now to just calmly communicate with each other and just move on as best they can. You know, I'll have my own moving on to do, and they need to do theirs. And Josh's death has changed a lot of situations. A lot of people have been affected, and it's not going to be the same ever again for a lot of people. So, you know, but unfortunately that's something we can't change. Just need everyone to try and move on if they can. Me. As long as I was alright, he was okay. And as long as he was okay, I was okay. And everything else was just a bonus to that.
At this point, it wouldn't be too much further than he was when he passed, but that's only because it hasn't actually been that long. But to say, let's say a year on from whenever, he would definitely be somewhere else, because there's a lot of doors opening for a lot of people, and he was kind of in the queue jump section, like he was by the front of there for that to open still.
I think if Depz was still with us, he would certainly be still going up. He's never someone to go down, he'd be going up, so, you know what I mean, he's limitless. The sky is not the limit to him. I couldn't really tell you exactly where he would be, but he would be going up at the top.